When an author is at the absolute top of their game, a new book should be a slam dunk, right? A guaranteed hit. But what happens when that book drops, hits number one, but a huge chunk of their most loyal fans feel, well, disappointed? That's the exact story we're diving into today with Emily Henry's latest novel.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to set the scene with a massive hype around the release. Then, we'll get into why so many readers felt let down and really unpack their specific criticisms. After that, we have to talk about a really powerful comparison to another huge novel. And finally, we'll hear the author's side of the story. So, to really get the reaction, you have to understand the hype. And believe me, it is almost impossible to overstate just how big of a deal a new Emily Henry book is in the publishing world.
And here it is. This is the book at the heart of it all. Great Big Beautiful Life. The second this was announced, the book world just lit up. Because let's be real, Emily Henry is an absolute phenomenon. I love this description from NPR. It just nails her status. She's sold over 7 million books since 2020. That's insane. Her books aren't just books, they're full-blown cultural events, and her fans are incredibly passionate. The premise was already a little bit different for her. It had her classic witty romance, sure, but it was mixed with this sweeping historical mystery about a reclusive heiress.
And commercially?
Oh, it was a smash hit. It debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. On the surface, everything looked perfect.
But while the book was flying off the shelves, a totally different conversation was starting to bubble up online. And this was coming from her most dedicated longtime readers. And this is the real question, isn't it? On paper, this book had all the right ingredients to be another fan favorite. So what exactly went wrong for so many of her readers? This sentiment, pulled from a really popular Reddit thread, just became this common refrain. It wasn't just a few negative reviews here and there. This was a vocal, significant part of her core fan base expressing some real disappointment. And wow, this table really puts it into perspective. Fans started posting their personal rankings of all her books, and you can see this clear pattern emerging. For so many of them, Great Big Beautiful Life landed dead last. That's a huge contrast to the love they have for all her other work. Okay, so let's dig in. What specifically were the issues people were having? Well, the critiques really tended to circle around three main things. Yep. Over and over again, online discussions came right back to these three pillars: the central romance, the way the plot was structured, and the main characters themselves. First up, and this is a big one for an Emily Henry novel, the romance. I mean, she is the queen of slow burn chemistry, but a lot of readers just didn't buy the relationship between Alice and Hayden. They called it insta-love, basically saying they were told the characters were in love instead of being shown it through real, meaningful moments. Then there was the plot. One person summed it up perfectly, saying it felt like reading three different books that never quite meshed. It was a romance, a mystery, a family drama. It was just a lot. Fans even started pointing out little plot holes, and many felt a big final twist was a trope they saw coming a mile away. And finally, the characters. Readers who fell in love with sharp, witty heroines from her other books found Alice and Hayden a bit bland. And even Margaret, the mysterious heiress at the center of the whole story, just didn't grab people. As one reader put it, she was rich and she partied. And that's it. Ouch. Now, here's something that is absolutely crucial to understand. These criticisms didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Almost every single discussion about this book kept coming back to one other massive, beloved novel that cast a very, very long shadow. And this person on Reddit just hits the nail on the head. The book that was constantly being brought up was Taylor Jenkins Reid's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And once you see the similarities in the premise, you just can't unsee them. I mean, just look at this side by side. The premise is practically identical. But for fans, the execution was night and day. They felt that where Evelyn Hugo was complex and gripping, Great Big Beautiful Life felt rushed and shallow and just couldn't measure up to the book it was being compared to. Okay, but fan reception is only one side of the coin. To really get the full picture, we have to look at what the author herself was actually trying to do with this novel. In this NPR interview, Emily Henry makes it super clear this was a deliberate artistic choice. She wasn't just trying to write another beach read, she was actively pushing herself into new creative territory. So for her, this wasn't a mistake, it was an intentional evolution. And she also directly addressed that feeling that the plot was disjointed. From her point of view, the modern romance and the historical family story weren't two different books. They were two threads that were meant to weave together to create a third, totally new story that was richer than either part on its own. This comment right here explains so much. The book spends a ton of time on the bonds between sisters and complicated mother-daughter dynamics, not just the main romance. Because for Henry, all those different kinds of love, familial, platonic, romantic, are equally important and deserving of the spotlight. So, after looking at all of it, the massive hype, the fan backlash, and the author's own vision, what's the big takeaway here?
You know, this whole thing is about so much more than just one book. It's really about that complicated dance between a creator and their audience. It's a perfect example of what can happen when an artist who perfected a formula decides to break away from it and try something new. And that leaves us with this big, really thought-provoking question, doesn't it? Is it fair for fans to want the same thing they've always loved, or should artists have the freedom to grow and experiment, even if it means some of their audience might not follow them there? It's a tension that's right at the heart of art and fandom, and there are definitely no easy answers.